この感情はダメだな。覚えちまったら忘れられぬではないかよ。
Shannon, you win. Love, is it? It may be the most important element, and the one that I lack. Shannon, I shall observe from afar the course of your love. Go forth and teach me more and more about this new emotion called love. Okay then. Let's see. Let's go to the next chapter and continue with Shannon. Oh? We're back over here. Ah, great. Time for us to talk with Ben Costello some more, I assume. Oh.
この姿は貸してあげるわ。私、バカは嫌いだから。仮の名としてクレルと名乗りなさい。それともベアトがいい？感謝します。みすぼらしい姿を晒さずに済みます。
Ben Costello had given this person a fake form. It was a temporary form for the person acting the part of Beatrice. A false appearance intended for those yet to reach the truth of Beatrice's identity. Okay, well that is good. Again, they are circling around to have the mystery still be intact, the illusion and such, but what is being said over here? Use a temporary form for the person acting the part of Beatrice? A false appearance? Why do you say that it is a false appearance? I mean, I'm not gonna... it's not that I'm gonna learn right now that this form of Claire is actually just a fabrication, another fabrication of Ben Costello as well. That this isn't one of the forms that the culprit had in their first days and such, like one of the first versions of Beatrice. I'm not gonna learn that it's just Ben Costello, right? I mean, you know, it is also possible that the story that is being said right here with Claire and Yasta and such, it's not entirely accurate to what Yasta actually went through, or more like the imagery of how the story is being told with Yasta is a little bit different than what Yasta imagined in her days. And this has a lot of Ben Costello's influence as well when it comes to telling this story. So again, it's like like remember in the last part when I talked about how we are hearing the story from Yasuda's lenses, so it's not gonna be something that we can interpret like easily. But now we add another lens that we're gonna have to watch through Ben Costello, which makes it even more blurry in terms of what they might have felt or something like that. I don't know, but nah, you know what? I think I'm actually gonna think about this a little bit more later. I don't know about Ben Costello being a part of this.
それが異なる世界の私の物語なのですか?
Yeah, basically.
リオン、これが異なる世界のあなたにして我の物語。私が人間としてでなく、魔女として生きる世界の物語。私も自分の人生にもしも想像することはあります。しかし
あなたの話す物語は私の想像を超えすぎている。
それでももう一人のお前のたどった人生だ。
だからって容易に受け入れられるものではありません。
Leon suddenly yelled and looked at the floor. Leon already knew. Because of the fragments provided by Castel, Leon knew. This was a different world, where the same person lived as the Golden Witch, Beatrice. And in this world, eventually, on the day of the October 1986 family conference, this person will be the ringleader of a terrible crime.
いくら異なる世界とはいえ、私が家族や親族を、使用人の人たちみんなを巻き込んで恐ろしい事件の首謀者になる。それに私はどう向き合えばいいというのです。
It is a lot to take in. I completely understand you, Leon.
黙って聞いて静かに理解しろ。
別の人生では私が使用人をしていて、かと思えばいつの間にか魔女になっていて、そしてやがては恐ろしい殺人事件を何度も繰り返す。それをどう理解しろと言うんです。
ああ、そうだろうな。誰にも理解はできねえだろうよ。こいつももはや誰にも理解してもらえるとは思ってねえ。だからお前なんだ。だからベルンカステルはお前とこいつ出会うはずのない自分同士をこうして出会わせたんだ。
別に深い意味はないわ。単なる気まぐれよ。
誰にも理解できない動機だから、リオン、せめてお前だけは理解しろ。この物語の主役は俺じゃない、お前だ。俺はお前の理解を助けるための介助役に過ぎね
ウィルは犯人の動機を理解したと言いましたね。
え。ああ、
それは私が家族を、親族を。
You're looking for a satisfying motive? Well, only you can determine that, Leon. Once you figured out your motive, or once you figured out the motive, or how you interpret the motive behind all this, only you can find a satisfying one.
みんなを殺すに足る納得できる動機なんですか？
さあな。それを考えるのは自分だ。俺が納得してもお前が納得するわけじゃねえ。
True.
お前の納得はお前がするんだ。
私には何が何だか本当にわからないんです。ベアトリーチェが起こしたといういくつものゲーム版という名の事件を見ました。そして今もう一人の私が語る異なる人生についても聞いています。でも全然それと事件がつながらない。理解ができない。
私もこの時やがてそのような恐ろしい事件を引き起こすことになるなど想像することもできませんでした。いえ、仮に想像し得たとしても私にあのような事件を起こす力はあります。
だろうな。お前の不幸は多分。
When you learned about your past.
非分の謎を解いたことだろうな。
The epitaph's riddle.
おじい様が出題したという隠し黄金の碑文ですか？
事件ごとに異なる共犯者を得るシステム。導き出される推理は犯人が莫大な金を持っていたという可能性、そして全てを黄金鏡に招き全ての恋を成就させるもう一つのシステム。
動機だけでなく、そこまでをお察しでしたか？
それこそが第4のゲームの最後の謎の答えだ。
Okay, well, what Will is saying over here, at least from my understanding over here, is basically what I was thinking of before. That at some point, like, Yasuda talked with the family members as time progressed and made them accomplices as the family conference happened. Like when we had that dinner in episode 4, or that moment in the chapel with the adults and Beatrice in episode 2 and such. Like, I still believe that Yasuda did eventually talk to them and, like, revealed to them that Yasuda was Kinzo's daughter as well. And thus, the next in line for the family inheritance and the headship.
お前の最大の不幸は非分を解き、本当の意味で黄金の魔女として復活し、その魔力を得てしまったことだ。
今となっては、あれはやはり不幸なことだったのでしょうか。わかりません。しかし、1986年にバトラさんが帰ってくるという事実が変わらぬ限り、何かの悲劇は起こったでしょう。
そうだな。バトラが帰ってくるのが1年早いか遅いかだったら、事件は起こらなかったかもしれねえ。
A year later or earlier, that incident might not have occurred. No. Some small incident would probably have occurred. And it would surely have been a mysterious, impossible incident, which no one could understand. But even so, it would have been insignificant compared to the Rokejima serial murders.
バトラ君が1年早いか遅いかだったらとは。
運命とは本当に皮肉なものですね。私に魔女の人生を歩ませ、気分を解くことで本当の魔女となり、そして6年を経て彼の帰りを知る。それら全てが運命ならば、これは私にとって必然であり、逃れられなかった事件なのです。
バトラは1980年、母アスムの死と父ルドルフの早すぎる再婚に憤慨して後ろ宮家を飛び出した。そして6年間後ろ宮家を離れた。
He convinced his grandparents on his mother's side to help him, and had his last name changed to his mother's maiden name. Then, when those grandparents passed away, he finally made up with Rudolph, and returned to the Ushimiya family again in 1986.
その不運がお前に事件の動機を生む。
思いました。どうして6年も経て今さら帰ってくるのかと。
そうだな。いっそ永遠に帰ってこない方がお前には良かったのかもしれない。
もちろん苦しみは続いていたでしょう。しかし大量殺人という許されざる犯罪に手を染めずには済んだかもしれません。
You know, I can understand that if Butler did not come at all, then that one last straw wouldn't have pushed you to that extent of committing mass murder. But I don't know. I feel a little bit confused. Why 1 year earlier or later instead? I mean, to me, it feels like, let's say that he returned a year later, like 1987. Maybe that would have pushed you as well to do the mass murder in 1987 instead of 1986, or much earlier. Like, what is being described over here, it feels as if 1986, exactly that year, is what would have pushed Yasuda to do all this. But at any point in time, like later or earlier, it would not have happened. Maybe because of George. That was at that exact point when George was gonna propose to Yasuda, aka Shannon. And with Beller coming back at that exact point, that would have screwed with Yasuda's mind quite a bit. I guess so. Like, if it happened like a year later, then Yasuda and George would have been together, and they would have been married. They would have progressed with their relationship, and by that point, Yasuda would be more. Oh, there are some stuff to be interpreted with the relationship between Yasuda and George and all that, but moving that aside, in Yasuda's mind, she probably would have thought that she would have had like a happier future with George. So, she thought that by that point, Bella returning back to the family wouldn't have affected her so much. If we are thinking 1 year earlier, like 1985, it could have been possible that at that point, Yasuda would not have been in a relationship with George like at all. Before Yasuda started this relationship with George, if Beller came back to the family, then maybe Yasuda would have been more forgiving and she wouldn't have thought about the murder. But no, it was at the exact that point when George would propose to Shannon and Beller comes back, like at that exact point. And that would be considered the bad luck. So that is my one idea for why 1986 specifically was a bad timing. It was because of George. Anything else though? Hmm.
バトラ君が後ろ宮家を去り、それがどんな動機になるというんですか？
Oh, well, leaving the family, that would certainly create a motive, alright.
逆だな。
逆？
Nah, I mean, yeah, there is the leaving part, which started it all, but it was also his return, like, at that point that pushed it even further.
バトラが去ったから事件が起こるんじゃない。バトラが帰ってきたから事件が起こるんだ。
こうして考えれば考えるほどに、後宮パトラ、なんと憎らしい男か。何より憎らしいのは、彼は自分のせいで事件が起こることに最後まで何の自覚もなかったこと。
最後には思い出した。ただしお前が諦めて消えたよりずっと後のことだがな。
それが本当なら、私の心も少しは救われるのですが。
私には未だにあなたたちが何の話をしているのか分かりません。ですが逃げずに聞こうと思います。知ろうと思います。一体あなたに何があって事件を決意するというのですか？
そうだ、それが一番大事なんだ。後宮バトラが推理小説に対しホワイダニットを尊んだように、 黄金の魔女の物語もゲームも謎もすべてそこに秘められている。
では引き続き語りましょう。1980年、私が事件を決意する6年前から。第6章、試される日。
バトラ様が後ろ宮家の席を出られた？旦那様とルドルフ様がそう話してるのよ。もうびっくり。
お前の人生にもそして家庭にも私は何も文句を言うつもりはない。しかし親父殿はカンカンだよ。感動ならまだしもこの方から愛想を尽かして席を出ていくなど聞いたこともない。
誰に似たんだか。バトラのやつめ妙に頑固でな。
Duh. No idea who he gets it from.
バトラ君の気持ちがわからないのであれば、父親としての資格を疑われるかと思いますよ。
Oof.
よしたまえ。キリエさんの子供をしっかり育てたいという責任をルドルフなりに示したということだろう。
それが来年だったなら何も言うことはありません。しかし、どうして今年なのですか？
Yeah. If it happened next year, but why this year? Why is that?
もも開けないうちから。解任の時期を考えると、ルドルフさんを見下さざるを得ません。
まあそういじめないでくれ。これが俺なりのけじめの取り方なんだ。
Ah, okay, they're talking about Kirie's pregnancy and such. I was thinking like they were asking why couldn't Beller have left the next year instead of this year, and I was like, wait, what? But nah, they were talking about Kirie's pregnancy, which happens like really close to Asumo's death, which that is a bit yabai, Rudolph. That is about a bit yabai.
バトラ君が亡くなられたアスムさんに代わってあなたに抗議されている気持ち、本当によくわかります。もしここにいたなら一緒に肩を抱いて泣いてあげたい気持ちですよ。
Nancy's words were sharp. They pierced Rudolph mercilessly. Actually, wasn't it that at some point I theorized that Rudolph and Nazi did the boingy boingy and that is how Jessica was born? That maybe Kraus is not actually Jessica's father, but is actually Rudolph. So technically that would make Bella and Jessica brothers and sisters instead of cousins. His relationship with Kirie had been improper, plain and simple. According to Rudolph, he had been close to Kirie longer than Asuma. And even after his marriage to Asuma, their relationship had not disappeared.
なんだよそれ、このクソ親父。じゃあつまりあんたはずっと母さんを裏切ってたわけじゃねえかよ。そりゃ俺だってキリエ様知ってるさ。あんたのビジネスパートナーでいつも事業の相談に乗ってくれる頼れる友人だって聞かされてたさ。それが男女の仲だったなんて今さら言われたって知ったことかよ。母さんが死んだ後なら勝手さ。俺だってあんたの人生だ、好きにしろと言ってるさ。でもな、キリエさんの解任はいつだよ。まだ母さんは生きてるじゃないか。ああ、 やっとわかったぜ。なんで俺はあんたにこんなにも吐き気を感じるのかってな。あんた母さんがここで死んでくれて嬉しかったろ。そうなんだろ。もし母さんが生きてたら不倫のことや子供のことでどう隠すかで苦労が絶えなかったろうからな。都合よく母さんが死んでくれたからキリエさんと結婚して新しい子を俺の弟か妹になってよく言えたもんだぜ。母さんが天国で泣いてる。恥を知れ、恥を知れよ。俺は恥ずかしいぜ。あんたと同じ後宮の姓を名乗ることが恥ずかしくて仕方ねえ。生まれてくる子に罪はねえさ。両親が揃ってなきゃかわいそうだ。せいぜい新しい家族を育んで幸せに育ててやれよ。だがな、俺は許さねえからな。だって母さんはもう憎むこともできる。だから俺が母さんに代わってあんたを憎む。全身全霊をかけてな。あばよクソ親父。
Whew. Rudolph, 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 Rudolph. What are we gonna do with you?
もう十分だろう、夏日。ルドルフは決してバトラ君に愛情を失ったわけではない。長い時間をかけるだろうが、親子の絆を取り戻したいと願っている。
Yeah, but it doesn't change the fact that you fucked up, Rudolph. One can forgive, but can never forget.
父親として当然です。赤の他人ならいざ知れず、自分の血を分けた子供ならばそれが当然の責務です。
いいさ、とことん俺を蔑んでくれ。反論はしねえ。それが俺のけじめのつけ方だ。
せめて生まれてくる子だけは幸せにしたまえ。
生まれてくる子もバトラも俺の子だ。
アスムさんが亡くなり、キリエさんと籍を入れられるのは、バトラ君には苦々しいだろうが、生まれてくる子にとって最善だ。私はお前を理解するよ。
バトラ君がアスムさんが亡くなって嬉しかっただろうとあなたをなじった気持ちがよくわかります。
もうよせ、夏日。すでにルドルフはなじるべき人間から十分にそれを受けている。それより紅茶をもらえんかね。厨房の誰かに紅茶を頼んできてくれんかね。
わかりました。
Nazi took this as a signal to leave the room, and did so. Once she left, Kraus relaxed slightly.
アスムさんは気の毒だったが、生まれてくる子を考えれば、これは偶然のタイミングだったかもしれんね。
まるでアスムがそれを知って自分から舞台を降りたかのようだ。俺がアスムを殺したのか。だとしたら俺はいつから殺してたんだろうな。
アスムさんを大事に思う気持ちがまだあるなら、何年かけてでもバトラ君と復縁したまえ。
ああ、分かってる。
そしてキリエさんと生まれてくる子にも等しい愛情を注ぎなさい。
You know, this is actually one of the very, very few rare moments of two family members actually, well, okay, let me correct that. Two family members being, family members, and Klaus actually scolding him and at the same time supporting Rudolph through this to make Rudolph realize his mistakes and, to hope that Rudolph can do better from now on. This is one of the very few moments that I've seen for this family, which is really nice.
アスムさんの十字架を背負いながらね。
Like, it's not like Kraus is being all, haha, what an idiot you are. He, like, Kraus does care for Beller and Rudolph in this situation, and Asumo as well.
もし地獄にもリザーブってやつがあるんなら、特上の席を俺に一つ取っておいてほしいもんだぜ。
The news that Beller had left the Fushirimiya family swept across the family.
バトラさんもお気の毒に。いつかきっと仲直りをしてくれると信じていますけど。
親族の方々の都合だ。使用人の知るところではない。それよりも新しく白宮家に加わられる桐江様のお顔を早く覚えねばならんな。
それもそうですね。今年の親族会議にはいらっしゃるんですからね。
If the person new to the Ushimiya family would be coming to the conference, then what about the person who just left?
ならバトラは来ないってことじゃない？
そう考えるのが妥当であろうな。賑やかな男が一人かけ、なんとも寂しいものよ。
Though most people felt that it was sad to see Beller leave the Ushimiya family, and that he would be missed, they didn't think any more about it than that. However, what about Shannon? Wasn't Beller supposed to come for her on a white horse? At first, I was shocked, because I immediately thought that his departure from the family meant that he wouldn't be coming to the island anymore. And I do think that's understandable given how he must feel. I understand painfully well why he wanted to leave his family. But does that really mean he won't come to Rokkenjima anymore? What on earth is going on? Will he really never return? Unable to ask him this directly, I was forced to spend each day contending with a growing sense of anxiety. Better, son. I understand how you feel, but you won't leave this place behind forever just because you broke away from the Ushirima family, would you? It is quite something. One can easily point their finger at Beller as the sole reason for why all this happened, and this was entirely Beller's fault and all that. And hell, like in episode 4 or a little bit later, I was questioning something in regards to the test and how, okay, Beller poured his heart out to Beatrice during that test about what he assumed was his sin about leaving the family, and Beatrice giving that air of not giving a fuck about Beller's family situation, but rather thinking about the other sin that Beatrice cared about the most. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, I get it, like, that test was not about Beller, it was about Beatrice. Beller's confessing of the sin was, well, he thought that was the case, but at the same time it was inappropriate because that test was not about him, but it was about Beatrice, so there's that. But moving aside from that, when I think about this, when you have a family situation that strikes your heart like so much, like what happened here to Beller, I guess you can say that if Beller would leave the family and whenever he would think of Rokkenjima, it would hurt him more. Thus, he would never want to come back. Can you blame a person for wanting to go away and avoid pain? But at the same time, there is that fault in Beller in the sense that he didn't even come back to Rokkenjima like right now to tell Shannon, hey, I'm leaving the family. I hope that we can still be in contact somehow. Like, I don't know, find ways to still be in contact while Beller was leaving the family and such. I guess one can say that maybe they had to keep it a secret if they were to continue like having like a relationship, cause. But then again, Beller did not think of Shannon in that way, in the sense of having like a relationship and such. But still, they were friends after all. You would think that Beller would at least come to Rokkenjima and talk to Shannon about all this and figure out some way, and then, you know, come back 1 year later and you know, keep that promise. Because Shannon is not entirely part of the family. Like, Shannon is a completely separate thing. In fact, you would think that out of all the people, talking to Shannon would be the most comforting during these times. Because, well, Shannon is not... I say that she's not part of the family, but, you know, with my previous ideas. But for as much as Beller knows at this point, Shannon is not part of the family. She is the least connected to the family. You know, when you try to get some support, getting some advice from a neutral party can be effective, and that neutral party would be Shannon in this case. You would think that Shannon would be the most comforting to Beller during these harsh times, but no. He just straight up left. So again, it all comes back to the idea that Beller just forgot about the promise and didn't think much of Shannon after all this, which is yabai. Tell me it isn't true. You know, I'm so confused that the world seemed to be spinning around me. I felt tightness in my chest. I couldn't think at all. When I happened to touch my cheek, I was surprised to find it hard and wet. With a miserable expression on my face, I was crying.
Shannon.
From afar away, I could hear someone calling to me. But it was a very strange sort of distance. And though it felt very far away, the voice also seemed to be coming from right beside me.
Shannon, そなたの胸中察するぞ。
大丈夫よ。あくまでも親子喧嘩。そして噂話には尾ひれがつくものよ。きっと大げさに伝わってるだけだわ。
そうとも。もう二度とバトラがこの島に来ないと決まったわけではない。
You know, it makes me think back on episode 2 when we had the fight between Shannon and Beatrice in Natsu's room, and how Beatrice was lashing at Shannon about the love between Shannon and George, and how men are so disgusting beings, and George would make Shannon suffer eventually because of this. like, what do you know about Shannon? Um, this is a sad situation because Claire right over here, Clairtress, Beatrice, actually sees this happening between Shannon and Bella. And she sees that Shannon is really sad about this. And because of this, Claire is gonna, like, Beatrice is gonna form, like, ideas about how love is not as happy as Shannon made it out to be because of what is happening here. And Shannon will probably think that the next guy, George, will probably do the same, that they will hurt Shannon in some way. Similar to how Beller left the family and never came back too late and such. So yeah, if we were to have like a origin for Beatrice's outburst in episode 2, it could be this.
気を強く持つのだ。
Where is this place? I seem to remember it somewhere. It's like it reminds me of the scenery of a strange dream I once had. Then, this must be another dream. I was there, under an arbor in the Golden Rose Garden, and 2 witches in white and red dresses were showing words of encouragement upon me.
噂好きの若い使用人たちが話を好き勝手に膨らませているに違いないぞ。席を抜けたなどと大げさな。きっとただの親子喧嘩に違いないぞ。
ありがとう。そうだといいのですが。
そうに決まってるわ。男の子だもの。父親と喧嘩の一つくらいするわ。
そうともそうとも。すぐに頭を冷やして仲直りするに決まっているではないか。
Well, they are gonna cool their heads eventually. You know, with Rudolph coming to Bella and apologizing for all that happened. And Bella was like, okay, fine. I'm gonna come back to the family and we shall rebuild our relationship. It is true that they're, like, eventually they are gonna cool their heads.
男の喧嘩なんて火付きは良くてもすぐ燃え尽きちゃうものよ。
それに比べ女の喧嘩は炎こそ上がらぬがいつまでも火種が残るものよ。男の喧嘩など激しくとも一時すがすがしいものよ。
そうですね。バトラさんとルドルフ様、早く仲直りするといいですね。
するとも。バトラはいつも言っていたであろうが、よく父親と喧嘩をすると。今回もそれらのうちの一つと変わらぬ。母親の死と父親の再婚で動揺したに過ぎぬわ。
祖父母の家へ行ってしまったそうだけど、どうせ2、3日も頭を冷やせば元の鞘に収まるわ。
I mean, you know, I don't want to bash Yasuda when it comes to how much she suffers throughout these years because of what is happening here, but I don't know, it does make me feel like Yasuda at the same time is not truly considering how much this affects Balor and how much Balor himself is suffering because of this, by looking at this as if this is just another fight that it's gonna patch up like soon enough. Like Yasuda / Shannon, they are not like they are not considering it, or they may think of it, but they are trying to ignore it so that they themselves can feel better about it. But instead, they should think about how Beller's feeling right now. So, I don't know. That's just the way I view it. It's...
ほらあれよ、 プチエデってやつね。
Cause they are saying that it's just gonna go way fast, just like fire, but it turned out that it took a lot longer. It took a lot longer than Yasuda slash Shannon slash Beatrice even thought of. The two witches kept saying that Better's fight hadn't been anything huge. If it was just a family quarrel, the rumors wouldn't have started in the first place. I just cannot feel optimistic about this. Yeah, you are trying to be optimistic about this, but nah.
いずれにせよだ。これはバトラ親子の問題。放っておけば時間が解決してくれる。そなたが気に病んでも仕方がなきことよ。
今日バトラが来なかったからといってこれからも来ないと決めつけるのは早計だわ。今日はルドルフが一人でやってきただけの話。
そうとも。また次の親族会議では元気な姿を見せてくれるに決まっている。おそらくはそのうちヒリエとやらを連れてやってくるであろう。その時にはふてくされながらも一緒に来てくれるに決まっている。
そうですね。うん。きっとそうですよね。
How nice would it be if they were right? In fact, if I could, I'd like to flip through the calendar until autumn right now and check to see whether he does come to the next conference. If he does, then all my fears are groundless. It would mean the rumor-mongering family members and servants just blew things out of proportion. If our son were right, I'd like to question him right away. Hey, it isn't true that you will never come to Rokenjima again, right? If I could just hear him say, of course not, I could stop worrying about it. I don't know the phone number for Rudo-san's. I don't know the phone number for Rudo-sama's house, but I could probably look it up if I tried. However, as a servant of the family, I have no excuse for making a call. And anyway, I have no way of finding out the phone number at Bellur-san's grandparents' house. All I can do is wait for Rudo-sama's family to come visit and hope that my fears are groundless. However, will I be able to make it through the day feeling like this? No way. I doubt I'll sleep a wink tonight. Just waiting around, feeling like this, when I don't know when my next chance will come. I cannot do that. Will it be next month? Or the month after? In the worst case, might I have to wait until the next family conference. And I have to wait that long while holding back this suffocating feeling. I cannot bear it.
ねえ、シャノン、唐突に尋ねるけれど、あなたがした1年後までの決意というのは、この島の使用人を辞めることを決めるだけの決意じゃないでしょう？
それは。
It was to make up my mind to start a new life. Instead of remaining a servant by force of habit, I was supposed to resolve to step into a new life and leave my old life as a servant behind.
そして、その決意の日に迎えに来ると、バトラは約束してくれたんじゃなかった？
それは、はい。
わらわは言葉を選ばぬから言おう。それはつまり、バトラと共に新しい人生を踏み出そうという決意ではないのか。
バトラさんと新しい人生。
そなたは決意の日にバトラが迎えに来てくれないかもしれないと恐れている。しかし決意の日はバトラが迎えに来てくれることだけを意味するのではないぞ。
あなたがバトラとこれからの人生を共に歩む決意を示す日でもあるのよ。
その決意は そなたが自らするものだ。バトラがただ来てくれるだけで成し得るものではないぞ。
シャノン、あなたにはもうこれからの人生を彼と歩む決意はあるの？それがまだないから次の親族会議の日に決心するなんて言ったんでしょ？
バトラと人生を共に歩むとはどういうことなのか。そなたは真剣に考えたことはあるのか。
それはその。
Well, there you go. I guess that is why you had to take some time to think about it, I guess. 1 year, though, that is quite a lot for you to make your mind, to be quite honest. As long as I'm working as a servant on Okenjima, my opportunities for meeting him are limited. We are both underage, so it's too early to talk about, marriage. However, if I quit working as a servant, I should have many more opportunities to meet him. Once I quit work here, I'll return to the gospel house. I have my wages for serving the family, so I should have more than enough to make visits to Better-san's house. And when I graduate from school, I can rent an apartment near to Better-san's house. Then, well, I can work while going to school. That life will be a lot more difficult than my vague conception of it. However, I'll be able to see Better-san much, much more often. If not every day, then every week. I won't be a servant anymore, so we'll finally be equals. I'll be allowed to call him whenever I want, and I'm already balancing school and work. Thanks to my experience here, I know more than enough to do simple housework. Which is an interesting topic over here, because based on what Shannon is saying, she could have just started working on it. She could have just quit her work right now, because by this point, she has like a couple of years, right? Servants usually work for like a couple of years to gain the experience so that they can have it in their CVs and such, and you know, work somewhere else. She can quit, she can go back to Gospel House and go to school and do some work so that she can get the money enough to rent an apartment. Maybe Shannon actually started working on that, but it took like longer than a year. And by the time the family conference of next year came up and Beller did not come back, that actually broke Shannon to the point where she will no longer work on that goal because of the promise. Beller did not keep his promise about coming back. Why work towards that goal if the other person is no longer gonna keep their promise? So, yeah, it could be possible that Shannon actually started working on this, but when the time come for the promise to be kept, Beller did not keep it. So, what will be the point in continuing to work towards that goal in Shannon's mind?